Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samasare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Boro Dukhi Doya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Vale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhatta Juga Shri Jivaha Prabhu Lokhanatha Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangha Mange Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya, Prabhupada. Jai Shri Radha Govardhan Dhari Bhagwan Ki, Jai Shri Krishna Balaram Bhagwan Ki, Giriraj Maharaj Ki, Narsinghadev Bhagwan Ki, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Bhagwan Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. So today we are speaking from the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 1, verses 85 to 87. Please repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Please repeat after me. Radhika Unmadaya Che Uddhava Darshane Udguma Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmadaya Che Uddhava Darshane Udguma Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmadaya Che Uddhava Darshane Udghurna Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmadaya Che Udghurna Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Udghurna Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmadaya Che Uddhava Darshane Udghurna Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmadaya Che Uddhava Darshane Udghurna Pralapatay Che Prabhura Ratri Dine Radhika Unmada The madness of Srimati Radharani Yaiche just like Uddhava Darshane in seeing Uddhava, Udgurna Pralapa, talking inconsistently in madness. Daiche, similarly, Prabhura of Lord Chaitanya, Ratri Dine, night and day. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Just as Srimati Radharani, please repeat, just as Srimati Radharani talked inconsistently with a bumblebee in the presence of Uddhava, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his ecstasy, talked crazily and inconsistently, day and night. Om Aganatim Rindasya Gyananjana Shlakya Chakshurunritamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So today the verses being covered are 85, 86 and 87. The verse we just repeated now was 87. 85 and 86 don't have a purport, but I will cover them now, and then we'll talk on the purport of 87. So, verse 85, you don't have to repeat this after me. Emate Mahaprabhu dekhi Jagannathe, Subhadra Sahita dekhi Vamsina hihate. In this way, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath, he saw that the Lord was with his sister Subhadra and not holding a flute in his hand. Text 86. Tribhanga Sundara Vraje Vrajendra Nandana Kahan Paba Evancha Bade Anukshana. Absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished to see Lord Jagannath in his original form as Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, standing in Vrindavan and appearing very beautiful. His body curved in 3 places. His desire to see that form was always increasing. And then text 87 today, which we have just read the translation. I'll read the translation again, and then we'll talk on the purport. Just as Srimati Radharani talked inconsistently with a bumblebee in the presence of Uddhava, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy talked crazily and inconsistently day and night. Purport. This unmada, madness, is not ordinary madness. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked inconsistently, almost like a crazy fellow, he was in the transcendental ecstasy of love. In the highest transcendental ecstasy, there is a feeling of being enchanted in the presence of the enchanter. When the enchanter and the enchanted become separated, mohana, or bewilderment occurs. When so bewildered due to separation, one becomes stunned, and at that time all the bodily symptoms of transcendental ecstasy are manifested. When they are manifest, one appears inconceivably crazy. This is called transcendental madness. In this state, there is imaginative discourse, and one experiences emotions like those of a madman. The madness of Srimati Radharani was explained to Krishna by Uddhava, who said, "My dear Krishna, because of extreme feelings of separation from you, Srimati Radharani is sometimes making her bed in the groves of the forest, sometimes rebuking a bluish cloud, and sometimes wandering about in the dense darkness of the forest. Thus, she has become like a crazy woman." So, today, talking on these 3 verses, the first verse is that Lord Chaitanya saw Lord Jagannath, and he saw that the Lord was with his sister Subhadra, and he was not holding a flute in his hand. So this is at the Jagannath Puri temple, and Lord Chaitanya is there. He has taken sannyas, and he goes to see Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, but especially Lord Jagannath in the temple every day. And so it is being described that when Lord Chaitanya saw Lord Jagannath, he saw him as Lord Jagannath with his sister Subhadra and without a flute. So how do you think he felt? Not that happy. And he will find out why. So Lord Chaitanya didn't feel the greatest ecstasy in the sense that he wanted to see Lord Krishna, and this is what is being explained in these next few verses. He actually wanted to see Krishna. And so this is the next verse, that he's absorbed in Lord Chaitanya, is absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis. And he wished to see Lord Jagannath in his original form as Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, standing in Vrindavan and appearing very beautiful, his body curved in 3 places. His desire to see that form was always increasing. So, we know that when Lord Jagannath and when Lord Krishna goes out of Vrindavan, well, he doesn't really go out of Vrindavan in one sense at all, but when he is present in other locations like Dwarka or Jagannath Puri or Ayodhya, he is present not as Krishna but in his other incarnations, as Lord Ram, as Lord Jagannath, and as Krishna in Dwarka. However, not what is the difference between Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Vrindavan. So that is what Lord Chaitanya is in the mood for. That is the mood of the gopis as well. And so this is why, even though he has seen Lord Jagannath and is seeing Lord Jagannath every day at Jagannath Puri in that temple, he is not happy because he wants to see Krishna, as Vrajendra Nandana, and the son of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, standing in Vrindavan, and his body curved in 3 places. So it's a Tribhanga form, which is what we see on the altar here, the Tribhanga form. Krishna is bent in 3 places. So holding the flute, and his hips stuck out, and his legs crossed over. So this is what Lord Chaitanya actually wants to see. And why he wants to see this form is because he is in the mood of Radharani. So he is feeling the separation from Lord Krishna because he is in the mood of the gopis, most especially Radharani. So this is why he wants to see Krishna in that form. And there are reasons for this. So like I was saying, what's the difference between Krishna in Jagannath Puri, Krishna in Dwarka and Krishna in Vrindavan? Would anybody like to say the difference? Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Yes. So Prabhu said that in Dwarka, Krishna is worshipped in the mood of awe and reverence, Aishwarya Bhav, whereas in Vrindavan, there is none of that. So I will say now the 4 extra special features that Krishna has in Vrindavan, which he does not have in any other form or any other incarnation, and not even as Krishna himself in Dwarka. So this is very specific to Vrindavan. So this is the sweet pastimes, Madhurya Leela, Leela Madhuri, sweet pastimes. Number 2, the sweet devotees, Prema Madhuri. Number 3, the flute, Venu Madhuri. And number 4, Krishna's beauty, which is Rupa Madhuri. So to explain this a little bit, both these 2 verses, 85 and 86, they really highlight this point, because it's like, in an earlier verse in this Madhya Leela, same chapter, we came across this verse, that Lord Chaitanya is saying, I am the same Radha, you are the same Krishna, but those same feelings are not being able to be expressed here because of the form that you are in, of the different mood that you are in. So let's go back to Vrindavan. So this is really the mood of the gopis. And these are the reasons for that mood, which is that in Vrindavan these things happen that don't happen anywhere else. And Krishna has 64 qualities altogether. So all the other incarnations of Krishna have 60, but Krishna in Vrindavan as Brajendra Nandana has 64, and these are the 4 extra. The Leela Madhuri, Prema Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Rupa Madhuri. So what this means is the Leela Madhuri, the sweet pastimes, that out of all the incarnations, Krishna has the sweetest pastimes, and all of his sweetest pastimes happen in Vrindavan. And out of all the pastimes, the childhood pastimes are considered the best. And out of all the childhood pastimes, the Damodar Leela is considered the sweetest. So this is Leela Madhuri. Prema Madhuri is that the devotees in Vrindavan, they have this pure love of Godhead. And that is what we'll be talking about in this verse 87 in a minute. So the devotees in Vrindavan, they have this special love for Krishna, which is untinged by any material desire. And so Krishna is surrounded by these devotees. The gopis, his parents, the cowherd boys, they don't desire anything for themselves. All they desire is to keep Krishna happy. So this kind of love that even the greatest bhakta is not able to obtain. And this is why actually the next verse happens, which is when Krishna sends Uddhava to Vrindavan. So this is why the next verse happens. So the third attractive special quality that is in Vrindavan is the Venu Madhuri. And Venu Madhuri is that Krishna carries a flute in Vrindavan. He doesn't in Dwarka, even though he is in his form as Krishna, and he doesn't in Jagannath Puri, which is why in this verse 85 we are being told that he saw that the Lord was with his sister Subhadra and he was not holding a flute in his hand. So Venu Madhuri, this difference is being highlighted. That the sweet and mellow flute which he plays in Vrindavan, it attracts the minds of everything, both moving and non-moving. So it is described that when Krishna plays his flute, the animate becomes inanimate and the inanimate becomes animate, which basically means that things that are alive become frozen like a statue because they're struck with all these transcendental feelings. And the inanimate, like rocks and trees, rocks in particular, they become flowing like a river. So this is the magic of the Venu Madhuri, the sweet flute playing, which does not happen in any other avatar. And the fourth quality is Rupa Madhuri. And Rupa Madhuri is that this beautiful form of Krishna, this enchanting form of Krishna, in this bluish black color, wearing his garland of forest flowers, looking very handsome, with the dust of the cows covering his body as he walks back home. The gopis, they sneak glances at him. He's playing his flute sometimes, and I'll describe actually a place where he plays his flute. And he's in his special Tribhanga form like that. So this is the Rupa Madhuri, and it's extraordinary, this beauty. And this beauty attracts and astonishes everyone. So it is actually told to us that this beauty of Krishna is so attractive, and his flute playing is so attractive, and these pastimes in Vrindavan are so sweet and attractive, that you don't stand a chance. That we, as human beings in this world, we don't stand a chance if we want to enjoy ourselves with society, friendship, love. So we are being kind of told that don't go and see Krishna if you actually want to enjoy this material world a bit. And now let's unpack that a little so nobody gets confused. So basically, we are being told that this is the verse. It's originally from the Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami, and the 4 extra qualities that I described are also from the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rupa Goswami. So Nectar of Devotion 1 to 239. This is the verse which is also quoted again in the Adi Leela of the Caitanya Caritamrita in chapter 5, verse 224. My dear friend, if you are indeed attached to your worldly friends, do not look at the smiling face of Lord Krishna, Lord Govinda, as he stands on the bank of the Yamuna at Keshi Ghat. Casting sidelong glances, he places his flute to his lips, which seem like newly blossomed twigs. His transcendental body, bending in 3 places, appears very bright in the moonlight. So this is how Krishna is. And we are being, so basically, the positive is that if we look at this form of Krishna, bathed in this moonlight, looking very bright, in his Tribhanga form, playing the flute, his sweet flute playing, which attracts everybody, and standing at the bank of the Yamuna at Keshi Ghat, that we will forget all these material pleasures, we will forget this love that we get in society, friendship, and relationships in this world, that we will actually forget that, and all we will want is the big ocean of Krishna Prema. So the point here is that that the loving exchanges that we have in our relationships in this world, they are not false. They're true, but they are compared to a drop of water. Whereas the loving exchanges that we have with Krishna, they are considered to the whole ocean. So what is being explained to us is that why have a drop of water when you can have the whole ocean of love? And that when we get attracted to Krishna in this way, then everything else pales in comparison. One last thing to say about these 2 verses is that there is a bhajan called Madhura Astakam. Madhura Astakam, which is literally the bhajan of sweetness. And if you want, please look it up. But basically, what this bhajan is it's a very beautiful bhajan. And it just says, Krishna, your venu is sweet, your walking is sweet, your lips are sweet, your glance is sweet. So there are 8 stanzas. And each of those stanzas are saying different things. Krishna, this is sweet, this is sweet, this is sweet. So it's very nice, this bhajan. So, okay. Right, so let's talk about verse 87 today. Now, and verse 87 is basically saying that, so what happens is that, Krishna is in Dwarka, and right now he's in Mathura at this point, and he's in Mathura and he is ruling there as the king of Mathura. And the gopis are in Vrindavan, which is not too far away, but because Krishna was ruling, he was so busy, he could not physically come to Vrindavan. And so what he did is he sent Uddhava, because he knew that the gopis were really missing him a lot. And so he sent Uddhava. Uddhava is Krishna's cousin. He is the son of Vasudev's brother. And he is almost the same age as Krishna. And he looked like Krishna a lot. Very much looked like Krishna. And they were described as being the dearmost friends. So Krishna writes a love letter a message to the gopis. And he sends it with Uddhava to Vrindavan. So, this is what happens then. So Uddhava comes to Vrindavan and he delivers this message. Now, what this message actually is, I mean, if you want to read or hear a love letter from God, read this chapter in the Krishna book. So Krishna writes, and if we have time, I might be able to read bits and pieces of it, but Krishna writes to the gopis and he sends this message through Uddhava. And Uddhava delivers this message to the gopis. He tells them, and Radharani, she is experiencing this extreme madness. And she starts talking to a bumblebee which is flying around, because the bumblebee is black in color, like Krishna is. And so this parallel is being drawn here, that in the same way, Lord Caitanya, he talked crazily and inconsistently in the day and night. So, when you are, I mean, I'm not saying this, it's written here, the word crazy is written here, but it can be hard to understand. God is crazy? What do you mean? So let's just discuss this a bit, and this is what's explained in the purport. So what is explained is that this madness is not ordinary madness. And the best way I can think of explaining it is that when a devotee goes to the market and an ordinary person who is not a devotee, who doesn't know Krishna, goes to the market, they both do the same things. They both buy products, they both give money, and they both go sit in the car and take the products home. But then the devotee's mentality is that I'm buying this, so externally it looks exactly the same. You can't tell a book from its cover. Externally the activities look exactly the same. However, the devotee is in the mentality, I'm going to offer this to Krishna. Krishna likes this, he doesn't like this, I'm going to offer this to Krishna. The devotee is thinking all the time internally about doing that, and the actions are going home, cooking it, offering it to Krishna. Whereas the non-devotee is going to just cook it and eat it and doesn't have that internal mentality of wanting to please Krishna. So externally things will look the same, and externally the madness looks the same. Just talking madly and inconsistently and day and night, and Radharani talking to the bumblebee. So externally, if you look at it without the tinge of devotion, it looks like madness. However, it is not. So, this is why we are told that when we are discussing the scriptures, we need to be favorable and we need to have our eyes tinged with the salve of devotion, and our hearts also. So that way we can actually understand. Otherwise, we cannot understand. But of course, blind following is not encouraged. Inquiries are encouraged. So, this madness is not ordinary madness. Just like how I explained, the buying of the fruit and veg is not ordinary for a devotee. So everything becomes transcendental when it is merged in Krishna consciousness. When Lord Caitanya talked inconsistently, almost like a crazy fellow, he was in the transcendental ecstasy of love. And so it's actually explained very scientifically, and it's not imagination. But what is explained is that when somebody is so much in love, and then you're together, the lover and the beloved are together, then there is this highest transcendental ecstasy. There's a feeling of being enchanted. And then enchanted means like being under a magic spell. And that's kind of the feeling one gets when one is really in love, even in these, in our relationships, because all the hormones actually flood the brain, and it's, if you do a scan of a person who is madly in love, all the pleasure areas of the brain are lit up. These are the same areas that get lit up with some addictive substances actually. So like the extreme pleasure areas get lit up. So So there's this feeling of being under a spell or being enchanted when the lover and the beloved are together. However, when they become separated, bewilderment can happen. And when this bewilderment happens due to separation, one becomes stunned. So, stunned, what does that mean? It means like a deer caught in headlights. Have you seen that? Has anybody actually seen that? I've seen that in movies, but not in real life. So it's like a deer gets, like frozen. And, they just can't move, like just stunned like that. So one becomes stunned, and at that time, all the bodily symptoms of transcendental ecstasy are manifested. So again, this is not imagination. What are these transcendental bodily symptoms of ecstasy? There are 8 transcendental symptoms. It's all very scientific, and it's all very real. And these facts are stated, so it's not, so this is how it has been explained that actually it looks crazy, but it's not. This is what it is. So there are 8 transcendental bodily symptoms which exhibit themselves when one is in transcendental bhava, transcendental prema and separation. And these are like tears flowing incessantly, becoming unconscious, the hair standing up on end, not being able to vocalize, like 8 symptoms like this, they happen. And so all of these transcendental symptoms of ecstasy are manifested and one becomes stunned. And when they manifest, therefore one looks like they're crazy, but they're not. So this is called transcendental madness. And this is what Lord Caitanya actually, he exhibited this kind of symptoms in his last 12 years at Jagannath Puri. So that's really, really intense. It's like the apex of feeling separation and having all, being so much in love and feeling so much separation and having all these transcendental signs and symptoms appear. So this is called transcendental madness. And when one is in this state, there is imaginative discourse. That means they talk. These people, like Lord Caitanya, Srimati Radharani, these divine spiritual personalities, because of this transcendental madness, they talk, and in an imaginary manner. They talk to the bumblebee, they talk to the walls. And one experiences emotions like those of a madman, which means like, really, really high emotions and then really low emotions at some stage. So absolutely like a mad person. And this is all transcendental madness. So the madness of Srimati Radharani, then, because Uddhava saw this firsthand, and then he went back to Krishna at Mathura and he told Krishna, he explained to Krishna what Radharani was feeling. He said, my dear Krishna, because of extreme feelings of separation from you, Radharani is sometimes making a bed in the groves of the forest, sometimes rebuking a bluish cloud, and sometimes wandering about in the dense darkness of the forest. She has become like a crazy woman. So this is what Uddhava, Krishna's best friend, has gone back to Mathura, and he is saying that she makes her beds in the groves of the forest because, that's how the transcendental pastimes happen in Vrindavan. The gopis would arrange, the Manjari gopis would arrange these beautiful flower beds and grass beds for Radha and Krishna in the groves. And Radharani would do that, thinking Krishna is coming now, Krishna is coming right now. And then she would be chastising bluish clouds because of the color, because they look like Krishna. And then sometimes she would be just wandering around in the dense darkness of the forest. So this is what transcendental madness looks like. It is a concept that can be difficult to understand, but is explained very, very nicely by Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas as to what it is. And why it happens is, as we discussed, is basically because there's so much love and then there's a separation, and this very extreme separation is causing all these transcendental signs and symptoms. So, just very quickly, oh, okay. So one more thing. So when Uddhava came to Vrindavan, and Krishna particularly chose Uddhava to come to Vrindavan because he was his dearmost friend, then then Uddhava, he was thinking that I'll go and the gopis, I'll just deliver this message to them and I'll have to be really careful. And he was, very, very, like he's described to be looking like Krishna and being best friends with Krishna. He's described to be very intelligent. In fact, he was a student of Brihaspati, who is the great spiritual master, who gives great transcendental knowledge. So he was the only student of Brihaspati, if I'm not mistaken. But he had great intelligence. And so when he came to Vrindavan, so Krishna actually chose him to go to Vrindavan for a particular reason. And the reason was that Krishna actually wanted, so when God does something, he achieves many results with a single action. Whereas when we do something, we only achieve one result with one action. So when Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan, it was to deliver the message, to try to give solace to the gopis, which did happen in some ways because the gopis were very, very close to leaving their bodies. And the other thing that happened is Krishna wanted Uddhava to learn a lesson. And this lesson was that all the learning is not going to achieve love of Godhead, but it's the mood of the gopis that one needs to aspire for. So, dear Uddhava, this is what Krishna is sending him to Vrindavan for. And so Uddhava actually, he learned this and he witnessed it, and then afterwards the gopis treated him very, very respectfully. And Uddhava also treated the gopis extremely respectfully. He bowed down to them and he was shy. He didn't ask them directly for the dust of their feet. Instead, he prayed to become the grass in Vrindavan, so that the gopis could walk over him, and so in that way he could get the dust of their feet. Because he understood immediately, being intelligent, that this mood of the gopis is the highest form of love. It's completely pure, and this is the highest form of love, and this is what wins Krishna over. Out of the 64 qualities of Krishna, one of them is that he is won over by love. That's one of his qualities. So this is why it is important for us. We are actually encouraged to cultivate genuinely this mood of the gopis. So in the Krishna book, it is chapter 46, Uddhava visits Vrindavan, and chapter 47, delivery of the message of Krishna to the gopis. So I will encourage you to read these two chapters. In fact, read the whole Krishna book. It's wonderful. It's described that, if one is feeling separation from Krishna, which is what we are talking about, then one should read the Krishna book and the teachings of Lord Caitanya. So this is what Prabhupada has written, that if we are feeling separation, which we should be, which is what we are aspiring for, feeling this separation from Krishna. So just to give you a teaser before I stop. So this is Radharani. So in this verse here, 87, it's that Radharani is talking inconsistently with a bumblebee. And okay, so this is what Radharani is saying, a little bit of what she's saying. Bumblebee, you are accustomed to drinking honey from flower to flower, and therefore you have preferred to be a messenger of Krishna, who is of the same nature as you. I can see on you your moustaches, the red powder of kumkum, which was smeared on the flower garland of Krishna, while it was pressed against some other girl who is my competitor. You feel very proud because of having touched that garland, and your moustaches have become reddish. You have come here carrying a message for me, anxious to touch my feet. But my dear bumblebee, let me warn you. Don't touch me. I don't want any messages from your unreliable master. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. So Radharani is, chastising the bumblebee, being sarcastic towards the bumblebee, like, like that. So, okay, so yes, that's what I will leave you with. Are there any questions or comments? Any further discussion that anyone would like to bring forth? Yes, Prabhu? While we are waiting for the mic, I'll just say something. I had a personal experience, and this was at Radhakund, in Raj, so we were doing Govardhan Parikrama, Radhakund Parikrama, and we finished at Radhakund that day. And when we finished there, it was sugarcane season. And so, on the banks of Radhakund, the vendors, they were crushing sugarcane and selling the sugarcane juice. And there were so many bumblebees around the sugarcane. So, and not honeybees, like big bumblebees buzzing around Radhakund at the sugarcane. And to me, that immediately brought this pastime. So, whenever bumblebee Radharani, so it was really very special because Radhakund is Radharani's special place. Yes, Prabhu?
My question was, so in the verse Lord Chaitanya is displaying transcendental madness, but there's a long way between where we're at and that expression of supreme love of Krishna. So I was thinking in the meantime, we have a long time of being responsible and doing our duties properly and dealing with other people nicely, that we'd have no excuse to sort of start acting mad.
Mm. Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much for that wonderful comment. It's so true. Like when we read these descriptions in these transcendental spiritual personalities, Radharani and Lord Chaitanya, and we think, yes, exactly, we are nowhere near that. And, for people who falsely pretend to be at those stages, we know that they are called sahajiyas, right? And they sometimes put chili powder in their eyes so that they can start crying falsely. So just to exhibit that I'm at this high stage. So people actually, they really pretend. And one time, Prabhupada was telling his disciples, like his disciples called Prabhupada, and they said, there's a man and he's lying on the temple floor and he's shaking and he's crying and he's rolling around. And, he seems to be experiencing transcendental ecstasy, these 8 symptoms. And Prabhupada actually said, kick him and he will run away out of the temple. Because Prabhupada could, even over the phone, tell that this person was not genuine, was just acting. So we are being advised very thoroughly in the scriptures, as Ramaprasad Prabhu said. We are being advised very thoroughly, just be a sadhaka, just be a servant, just be a practicing devotee, which, follow the 4 principles, chant your 16 rounds every day, be sincere, serve as sincerely as you can. And this is what eventually is going to lead us, slowly, is going to purify our consciousness and lead us to transcendental feelings. And when one actually gets these transcendental feelings, one doesn't display them because of humility. So Prabhupada, he was always on the transcendental platform. And sometimes people, his disciples, would get a glimpse. Like one time, Prabhupada was singing in Hawaii, and he was singing Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda Bhajan, Pahu Duijana, Paramakaruna Pahu Duijana, and he became stunned, and he just stopped, And then he was crying, tears were flowing, and he completely oblivious to his surroundings. And then, one of the disciples then, after a while, started chanting, and then that brought Prabhupada out of his transcendental ecstasy. And then he was embarrassed, and he quickly wiped away his tears, and he said, "Go on, go on." So, when one comes to this stage, he doesn't go around displaying like a badge, "Oh, I'm on the most highest platform," but instead he's humble, he hides it. And these are the true characteristics of a true devotee. Okay, anything else?
What do you think that is Krishna doing justice with Radha as from a human lens? It is into she as a human. So what do you think?
So we are okay. So the question is that what do you think? Did Krishna do justice to Radharani? The answer from a human perspective is no. From a spiritual perspective is yes. Absolutely. So, and this is again a concept which can be very hard to understand. But basically, from the human concept, absolutely not. No, from a mundane perspective, it is terrible. But let's talk about that later. Let's talk about actually, this is just very quickly. So Krishna, the gopis came out in the middle of the night. They broke all their relationships with their family, their children, their parents, their husbands. Everything was lost. And they became tainted, like with this so-called tainted, that no, you can't go back to your family. So they lost everything. And then Krishna left them. And then he never came back physically. So no, absolutely not. However, and this is why, however, this is just mundane, that it is not fair when you look at it from a mundane perspective, but these are not mundane personalities, these are spiritual personalities. So the same level of reasoning, the same foundation of reasoning does not apply. It's on a completely different platform. So we actually cannot look at it and try to rationalize it with our material reasoning. This is because we are talking about spiritual personalities. And we are talking about these gopis who, some of them were nitya siddhas. They were eternally liberated. They had just come from the spiritual world to play these pastimes. So it's all happening on a different platform, spiritual platform, not material platform. The other reason is that it's not that in this separation, when we describe it, it sounds so painful, so terribly painful, this separation. But on the spiritual platform, separation is actually union. So this is why Lord Ramachandra, when he came to the earth planet to play his pastimes, he is God, he can do anything he wants, but he chose to be separated. He could have just arranged his pastimes in a different way. Absolutely. He's got absolute power. But this rasa of Vipralamba Seva, of service in separation, is the highest rasa, the highest taste. And this love in separation is the highest union, because, again, it is a spiritual perspective. And spiritually, when one is experiencing separation, they are on the same wavelength. They are feeling the same things. So, just like Radha is missing Krishna, Krishna is also missing Radha in the same way. Krishna was also going mad in Dwarka. He was chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi at night time like that. And his queens were thinking, what's wrong with him? We are all here. So it's equal. Aag dono bagal barabar lagi hai. Does that make sense? That Hindi saying that the fire is equal on both sides. That it's the same feelings are there, the same reciprocation is there. This is why in spiritual life we never get cheated. The reciprocation is there. Whereas in material life, if somebody is missing somebody else, the other person might actually be watching a movie or just doing something else altogether and not missing this person in the same way. But in the spiritual world, it is not even in the spiritual world. In this world, with spiritual pastimes, it's not mundane. So we cannot actually look at it with our mundane way of thinking and be judgmental. We cannot, do that. So this is why, because it won't make sense. And then as a result, our bhakti won't actually develop. And we won't get the right understanding. So it is a difficult concept to understand for, even very long-term practitioners of devotional life. But this is that the Vipralamba Seva is the highest, and that gopis had this mood, and that this is serving Krishna in separation, and it's actually union. Okay.
So in the end of the life, that did Krishna recognize Radha's sacrifice?
Yes. Not even at the end of the life, even during that life, yes. When they met in the forest of Vrindavan, and finally Krishna stopped trying to send them back home, then Krishna said to all the gopis and Radharani that what you have given me, I can never repay. So instead, please accept your loving devotion back as a gift. So yes, he did. And also in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, there's Radha and Krishna together. In one area of Goloka Vrindavan, they're actually married and they're together. In another area, they are Radha and Krishna as paramours. So it's like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Shri Karanitai ki jai.